What's up, everybody? Sam Smyers here. So today is going to be a quick video. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this website that I found that I think will help make collaborating in Ableton Live a lot easier for you. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also please subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. Let's say you are working on a track in Ableton Live and you want to be able to send your session to another producer or collaborator so that they can open up your Ableton Live session and then work on the track as well. Well, a lot of times you will send the track over via the session. You'll send the session over and the collaborator is missing some of the plugins that you have. Or instead of sending the session, they'd say, well, just freeze everything. Well, you can't really freeze groups. You can't freeze sends. You can't really freeze the main. So you can't just like freeze everything in the session. Also, freezing all of your tracks, like if you have 100 tracks, which a lot of people have like 60 to 100 tracks, sometimes more, like that's going to take a long time to freeze everything, and you're creating audio files anyway when you are freezing it. So there's just like a lot of things you have to do, and you might even, if none of that works, just have to bounce everything down to audio and check the stems after you bounce them down to audio and just make sure that everything was converted correctly, because sometimes you forget to like group certain things, or just when you send them over, maybe there's just like some things that don't really match up. So it becomes this whole like back and forth process of being able to share your session with somebody else. Well, I found this website, and I'll show it to you. It's by this guy. His name is Atish Mehta, and he is on Instagram. I saw this post on Instagram. He called it pluginhell.io. And what's really cool is you can just drag your ALS session into this website, and then it reviews your session and then tells you which plugins your session has, and also like whether they are VST or audio units, which is helpful because if you are a Mac user, which I'm a Mac user, and you use audio units, then you can't send your session to somebody who's using a PC, because PC can only use VST. So if you do want to collaborate, you got to make sure that you're only using VST. So that makes it even more annoying collaborating. So this says the files are processed locally in your browser. They are not uploaded to any server. So, I mean, if you are one of these people that is a conspiracy theorist and thinks that everybody's stealing your data or whatever, I mean, I don't see why they would want to steal your session data from your Ableton demo live file. Like, I don't know why anyone would care to have that, but it's saying on the website, he's saying that he's not like taking anything from your session, and nothing's really being uploaded because it happens almost instantaneously. So I always like laugh when I see that people comment that. But let's just go ahead and test this out. I will go into, let's just open up a session or go into my session files. Let's open up a song ID I had. So let's say I had a demo, and before I want to send this over to somebody, I'm just going to go to my ALS file here. I'm going to drag it over into the website, drag and drop it, and it happens in less than a second and tells me everything that's in my session. Now, this is cool because I think he's just like constantly updating it, but now he has an option to like buy the plugin. So now before I send my session over, like let's say I have a collaborator, we're both working in Ableton. Now I can review this and make sure I have everything correct. Now, what I see looking at this really quickly is I try to use VST3, but it looks like I accidentally used a VST2 for some reason. So sometimes people don't always install all the VSTs, because there's VST1, there's VST2, there's VST3, and there's audio unit. So it's like, you probably want to be using, being consistent by using VST3 when you can. So this is probably something where I just go into my session and replace it just to make sure that they're all VST3, and they're all VST3, so that's good. So what I would probably do then is I can copy this and it pastes it to a clipboard, copy paste this, and then it tells me the whole list. So I could just text this to my collaborator, say like, oh, these are all the plugins. Do you have these? And then they say yes or no. And let's say they say, no, I don't have this endless return or this endless smile. Then instead of me having to go back and try to freeze all these tracks or bounce them to audio, then I can just go ahead and just freeze those two tracks or bounce just two of them to audio. So it saves a lot of time there. Also, just like, you can't freeze everything to, like I mentioned this earlier, you can't. So if I have a group here, like I'll group this, you can't freeze this group to audio. You can only freeze the individual tracks. So a lot of times if you're doing processing on your groups, can't freeze that to audio. can't do that for any of your sends, and you can't just like freeze your main to audio. So if people are thinking, oh, why would I go through this whole process of checking what plugins that I have when I can just freeze everything? Well, you can't even freeze everything. That's not possible. And also that just takes a lot of time. It also increases your file size, because when you do freeze a track, what Ableton does in the background is that it creates a whole audio file of that track. So you are increasing your session size. So if you do want to transfer your session over to somebody else, you're going to be uploading a bigger file size. So it's just like all this added time that it will add to this process if you're just trying to avoid simply checking your VST's audio unit plugins by going to this website. So I think it's like super helpful. I don't know. I just saw this website and I thought, like, I'm surprised that no one has made this before. Now, if I want to see what track this is on, like if I have a big session, I can just click on the drop down and it shows me what track it's on. There's also an option where it shares the link now. So now I can just copy paste this into my browser or just send the link to my collaborator, and then it tells them the plugins that I have. So that's pretty cool. Now let me just go into another, drag and drop another session that I have in here. Let's drag this one over. Now you can see I have some here in this example where I have audio units, and that is a situation where I want to make sure that if I am giving this session to somebody who is a PC user, then I definitely need to just swap those out and choose a VST version. So it's super helpful, super quick to be able to do this. And I think it's like, if you have somebody who is working in Ableton and you just want to quickly check your files and just send them the session, like especially if you're like in the early stages of a project and you don't want to have to like do the whole freezing, bouncing, like all that stuff and hoping that everything turned out right, just like check everything like this using this website. I think it's like super helpful to use. But if you are collaborating with somebody that uses FL and you're in Ableton, then yep, I guess you're gonna have to bounce everything to audio. Can't use this website, but this is just helpful for us Ableton users. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also please subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. And if you'd like to check out any of my stream preset packs, head on over to store.sansmyers.com.